everyone, it's Nadia from YARNutopia. Today we have a special guest. This is my fur baby, Bebe. She's so adorable and we are making this adorable Bebe's holiday pet sweater. So you can make this for your dog or your cat or any animal that you want to make this for. She is so cute in it and I absolutely enjoyed making this every second. She's probably not so happy, but I am. So I'll get into the supplies we need and I'll answer some frequently asked questions and then we'll get into making this adorable piece. So the yarn we're going to use today is Red Heart Super Saver yarn. This is a 10 ply size 4 worsted weight medium yarn. You're not going to need a whole lot. I used half a skein of each color. I used 2 different colors and so it's about 300 yards total for both colors together. So 150 yards each, I guess, is what I used, maybe less than that. And this is, you can use any worsted weight, any double knitting, any Aran yarn, just any yarn you have lying around. This is an acrylic yarn. You can use a polyester or even a cotton yarn. So then the 2 colors I'm using, the green color is called Hunter Green. And then the red shade is called Burgundy. But like I said, you can use any colors you want. You can use as many colors as you want, but I'm just using the 2 colors. And then for the hook size, we're crocheting this with an H size crochet hook, which is 5 millimeters. So make sure you have that handy. You can use an I hook, which is 5.5 millimeters, if that's something you have on hand, to make it a little bit bigger. But the H hook works perfectly fine. And then you're going to need a scissors and a yarn needle. If you want to, you can use stitch markers, especially when we're finishing the neck portion of our piece. We're going to be marking our stitches on where our backing needs to go and then where the front of our piece needs to go. I'll lift her up here. You can see the front part is also made on the underside. So we're making about 3 pieces and sewing them together. So that's our piece, sorry Bebe. And then you're going to need a scissors and a yarn needle to cut the yarn and sew in the ends and everything. So now I'll answer some frequently asked questions. The biggest question I get is sizing. So how big is Bebe? Basically. Let's find out how chubby you are. So okay, the length of this from neck to bottom puffball here is about 25 centimeters, which is about 10 inches. That's how big I'm making my sweater. But this pattern is so versatile. You can make this as long as you want, as big as you want. The first part we're going to be making is this neck portion here, and you can make that as many rounds as you want. You basically just have to measure around the neck of your dog or the neck of your cat and then chain as many as you need to for that. You want it to be a little bit looser just to be able to put some fingers in there so that it's not suffocating your animal. So that's a big thing to measure for that. And then the length of this piece, this backing piece, this is 20, well, it's actually in a multiple of 5. Okay, so I have 25 stitches here, so it's in a multiple of 5. You can make this as long as you want. If you have a bigger dog or a medium-sized dog, Bebe is a small dog, so I'm making this small. But you can make this as big as you want and as wide as you want. So I did 23 rows of this ribbing effect, and we're working in the back loops only to make this really nice ribbing effect. And I show you that on the underside of this, you can use it 2 different ways. This side has more green on it, this side has more red on it. It's just really popping, and so you can decide on which side you want it to be. And then this little frilly edge here, actually if you've seen my ColourPop baby blanket, this is the same edge that's on that baby blanket. So if you want to check out the ColourPop baby blanket, that is also on my website, YARNutopia.com, but this is the same edging and it's just fun and festive for the season. And then we're adding this little embellishment of a bow. For the girl, I added this on the side of the sweater, but if you have a boy, cat, or dog, you can put it underneath the neck here and have a classy look for a little bow tie design. So, and then on the underside, let's lift Bebe up here, you can see that this underside is made from here down, and you want to end that a little early for the belly side, just so that if you let your dog out or animal outside, that they are not ruining the sweater. at all. So you want to end that early. So you can make that as long as you want as well. So Bebe does not look so happy, so I have to get her out of this sweater. But hopefully your animal likes the sweater. And if you make this, please share a photo on the Facebook or Instagram and hashtag YARNutopia. You can also follow me on Snapchat. I'm YARNutopia on Snapchat, so make sure you snap me some photos of what's on your hook. And you know, you can find all the links to the written pattern and to my website on YARNutopia.com. All the links are in the description of this video, so you can see this. Oh, one last thing I forgot to mention, you need buttons. Sorry, buttons are here. There's a button here, and then there's buttons on the other side. I totally forgot to mention that only because I only had the 4. There they are. So you're going to need some buttons, or you can sew up this side. Sorry, I didn't mention that earlier, but those are also other supplies you're going to need. And then, yeah, check out those links in the description of this video. There is a link to the website where you'll get this written pattern, and then there's also a link to my Facebook and Instagram, all that good stuff. I will see you there, and just check that out. Last thing before we begin, I have to say a big thank you to my dad, Fuad, Azmat, for taking the time to make this video with us. He is our videographer, editor, and photographer for all of our videos, so make sure you hit that subscribe button. Tell them, Bebe, subscribe to our channel. And also, if you could support us, you can click the eye in the corner of your video. It's somewhere in the top right corner of your video. You can hit the eye and support YARNutopia today so we can keep bringing you these fantastic crochet tutorials on the website YARNutopia.com. So now let's get started and make this fabulous Bebe's holiday pet sweater. Oh, gross. 10-inch neck. Yeah, you have a 10-inch neck, Bebe? Should we measure your waist? Your hips? Oh, what does it come out to be? Oh, 16 inches. You are a chubber. Yes, you are. Are you scared? Alright, come on. Let's start out by making a slip knot. So put your short end over your long end, fold that down and pull that through and pull tight. Insert your hook and we can start. So I'm going to start by chaining 30. Just start by chaining an amount that will that will fit around your dog's neck. Okay, so yarn over and pull through. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I won't make you watch me do all 30 chains, but I'm just going to chain an amount that will fit around my dog's neck, and then I will meet you up for row 1. Alright, so I've chained 30, so this is what my chain looks like. Now you want to make sure when you want to come back around here without twisting your chain. So we're going to keep our chain straight, and then we're going to come back around to the first chain, way over here, and we're going to slip stitch into there. So go into that first chain, and then yarn over and pull through and pull through. Okay, now we've made a ring, and that is going to fit over the dog's head around the neck. Now you want to make sure that this fits around your dog, and you don't want it to be too tight because it could, you know, obviously hurt the dog. So just make sure, if you want to test this out on your dog, slip it over its head and make sure it fits around the neck. And if it does, you're good to go. So you can chain as much as you need to for this part. This is not any amount, you know, you can chain, you know, 25 or 30 or 32, I don't know, or even more if you have a big dog. So now going on to round 1, we are going to chain 1 and single crochet into that same chain that we just slip stitched into. So go in, then yarn over and pull through, and then yarn over and pull through 2 loops. Okay, go into the next chain. I'm working, you can see here on the back ridges. I like to do that in my crochet work. You can see the chain like this. I like to turn my work toward me, and you can see these back ridges here. Okay, I like to work into those. It just gives my edging a nice clean look to it on my foundation chain. So I'm just going to go into the chain, yarn over, pull through, and then yarn over and pull through 2 loops. Okay, and we're just going to work a single crochet into each chain around. Once we come back to the beginning, I'll meet you up. We'll go on to round 2 and we're going to change color. Alright, when you come back around, make sure this isn't twisted at all. Make sure you have the right amount of stitches, so I have 30 single crochets around. And what we're actually going to do is change color at this point. So going on to the next round, we are going to work in the back loops only. So I'm going to go into the back loop of this first stitch right here. So usually we go under both loops like this. You can see here the back loop is here and the front loop is here. So we're going to go in between the front and the back loop, going under the back loop like that. And instead of yarning over with this green yarn, I'm going to yarn over with my red yarn, okay, or burgundy yarn, and pull it through and through, okay, to close that up. But I'm not going to cut my green yarn. I'm going to trail that along for the next round. So I'm just going to leave it in the back there, drop it, and then I'm going to drop my red straggler here, and now I'm going to chain up one. Okay, and now we're going to go on to the next round. Just make sure you pull that old color from round one, pull that tight so that that is secure in there, so you won't see that, okay? So now we're going to single crochet in each stitch, including this one that we just slip stitched into. So going into there, yarn over, pull through, and then yarn over and pull through 2 loops, okay? In the next stitch, in the back loop only, we're going to go into the back loop, yarn over, pull through, and then yarn over and pull through 2. Now that is optional, that's creator's choice. So you can work under both loops like that, or you can work through the back loop only like me. It's totally up to you, however you want to make your sweater look, this neck portion at least. So I'm going to single crochet in the back loop only of this round, and then I'll meet you up for round 3. Alright, so when you come back around and single crochet in the back loop only of every stitch, you can see that this has more of a ribbing effect now with this working in the back loops only, which is nice. So now going on to round 3, we're going to kind of do what we did in from round 1 to round 2. We're going to go into the back loop only of the first single crochet in here. I'm going to drop this red color, and I'm going to pick up that old green color from round 1. And we're going to yarn over with that and pull it through and through to slip stitch, and we're going to pull really tight to kind of secure it from round 1 to round 3, okay? And then we're going to pull that red also so that is secure, so pull everything tight, and then chain up 1 with this green, just like that. And now we're just going to repeat round 2, so we're just going to single crochet in the back loops only, just like that. And then when we go on to round 4, we're going to do the same exact thing, switching back to red. And then for round 5, switching back to green. And once I finish round 5, I'm going to meet you up, but you can go on to making this neck part as long as you want. So if your dog has a longer neck, you can make this longer. And if you want to even have a turtleneck style and fold it over, you can make it extra long and fold it over on your sweater. I'm just going to do, I think, 5 rounds of this in total, and then I will meet you up for the next step. We're going to actually fasten this off and set it aside and make the back of our sweater. Alright, once you finish making however many rows you want to make of this, you can see the nice striping effect of it. It looks really nice, and the ribbing effect working in that back loop only. So when you're ready to fasten off, what we're going to do is actually go into the first single crochet of the round under both loops, the front and the back loop. And we're going to slip stitch with the same color. So yarn over, pull through and through. And then to fasten off, I like to just chain 1 and cut this yarn. You can cut it short and then pull it all the way through and pull it tight. And then what we're going to do is flip this inside out to tie these ends and sew them in. So you can see my long strand of red I never cut off, so we're going to cut that. And then you can see these 2 strands here. Underneath this sweater, I'm going to just tie this into a 1 knot. You can tie it in a 2 knot or a 1 knot or even a 3 knot. It's totally up to you. But this is creator's choice, and this is going to be the inside of the sweater. So I'm just going to tie it in a 1 knot kind of thing like that. Kind of just twisting those 2 yarns together. And then I'm going to grab my yarn needle and I'm going to sew in the ends. And I get questions about how to sew in ends quite often. So I'm just going to show you my entire process of this sweater. If you want to, you can fast forward this part if you know how to sew in your ends. But I'm just going to sew my ends in with the yarn needle and going underneath these stitches just like that, okay? And if you want to, you can go back and forth. Again, this is the inside of the sweater, so you're not even going to see any of this. And then you can cut any extra, okay, just like that. And again, I'm going to sew in the green here. I'm going into the color. I like to go under the corresponding color, so you can see underneath these red stitches, under them, there's green. Okay, so I'm going to go where there's green for the green yarn, and when there's red yarn, I'm going to sew in the red yarn. Okay, so I'm going to sew in those just like that, and then I'm going to sew in these ones, and then once we are done sewing in our ends, this is what it should look like. You can see the seam here. We are going to cover that with a bow later on, but this is what the front should look like. So far, looks great. But now I'm going to set this aside. I'm going to get my other yarn, the green yarn, and we're going to start making the back of our sweater. For the back part of your sweater, we're going to start off by making a slip knot. So put your short end over your long end, fold that down, and then pull that through and pull tight. Insert your hook, and for the back of your sweater, depending on how long your dog is, how long their back is from the neck, you can see here is the neck piece, from the bottom part of it to the tail, that is how long your piece should be. And just like I showed you in the beginning of this video, when I was measuring this on my dog. So what we need to do is chain something that is in a multiple of 5 plus 1. So I'm going to chain 25 because that's a multiple of 5, and then plus 1, so I'm going to actually chain 26. So I'm going to yarn over and pull through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm not going to make you watch me do all 26, but just chain 26 or however much you need in a multiple of 5 plus 1. So I'm going to chain 26, and then I will meet you up for row 1. Alright, so I chained 26. This is what it should look like here. Okay, and it is quite stretchy, so that is actually going to stretch on my dog as well, so it'll look really nice. And that'll cover her whole back. So now what we're going to do is single crochet in the second chain from the hook and the next 4 chains. So the first of the 5 stitches, first 5 stitches are going to be single crochets. So the loop on the hook doesn't count as anything. So the second chain from the hook is here, 1 and 2, right in that chain. And again, like I showed you in the beginning here, I'm going to turn this toward me and work in these back ridges of the chain. Okay, so I'm going in the second chain, 1, 2, right in there. I'm going to go in and then yarn over, pull through, and yarn over and pull through 2 loops. Okay, that's a single crochet, so we're going to do that in the next 4 chains also. So next chain, single crochet, next chain gets a single crochet, next single crochet, and the next one. Okay, so you should have 5 single crochets in total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, then we are going to half double crochet in the next, let's see here, the next 15 chains. Okay, so a half double crochet, I just showed you that one there, but we're going to yarn over, go into the next chain, yarn over, pull through, and then yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. Okay, that's a half double crochet. So the next 15 chains get that. 1, 2, so yarn over, go into the next chain, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through all 3. That's 3. Here's 4, 5, just, you know, half double crochet. So if you chained more or less, the first 5 should have single crochet. And then each one of these should have a half double crochet until there are 5 chains left. Okay, so if you chained more or less than 26, just you know, single crochet in the second chain from the hook and the next 4, so there's 5 single crochets in total, then half double crochet until there are 5 chains left. Okay, in the last 5 chains you get the option, you can, if you want this to be more of a dress design, which is what I'm going to do, we are going to double crochet in the last 5 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's 5 chains left here. I am going to double crochet in each one of those. If you don't want more of a flare out look, then you can half double crochet in all of these, okay? But I'm going to double crochet, so yarn over, go into this next chain, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and yarn over and pull through 2 loops. That's a double crochet. So we're double crocheting in the last 5 chains. Okay, just like this. 1, 2, 3, here's 4, and 5. Awesome. Now, if you're not changing color, you could finish off that last one there, just like how I showed you. But I'm actually going to change color. So on the last stitch of every row, what we're going to do is yarn over, go into this stitch, or the chain here in this situation, yarn over, pull through, and then yarn over and pull through 2 loops, but hold it. We're not going to finish the stitch. I am going to pick up my other red color. I'm making this striped. So I'm going to hook that on the hook and pull it through, just like that, to finish off that stitch there, okay? Then what I'm going to do is chain up 3 here for row 2. We're going to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. We're going to turn our work. Usually I turn my work this way, but today I'm going to actually turn my work this way, the opposite way, okay? It doesn't really matter which way you turn your work. I'm just going to turn my work around. And what I'm also going to do, because I'm switching color every row, I'm going to trail this green along my row here all the way across and work over the top of it. And that's what I'm going to do for every row. I'm going to work over my old color, only because I'm only using 2 colors. If you're using 3 colors, you don't have to, and you can just trail it up the side. Or if you're using a solid color, you obviously don't need to worry about that. This chain up 3 is going to count as our first stitch, though, so don't worry about that. Don't worry about working into this stitch here. We're going to work into this next stitch, and we are going to double crochet. And if you want to, work in the back loops only. So yarn over, go into the back loop of this next stitch, the loop that's away from you, furthest away from you, and I'm working over the straggler here for old color. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over and pull through 2. Okay, we're double crocheting in these first 5 stitches. Actually, this chain up 3 counts as a stitch, so that's 1. Then this next one was 2, so yarn over, go into the next stitch, that's 3, back loop only, working over the top of the straggler here. This next one is 4, and the next one is 5. Okay, then we're going to half double crochet into each stitch until the last 5 stitches, and we're going to single crochet in the last 5 stitches. Okay. That is for the repeat of row 2. So row 2 is chain up 3, double crochet in the next 4 stitches, then half double crochet in the next 15 stitches, and then single crochet in the last 5 stitches. Okay, then this work over the top of this straggler here, and work in the back loops only of your stitches to make the ribbing effect look like it. Also, if you pull your straggler along here, make sure to stretch this out though. Okay, you want to stretch it out, just because if you pull it too tight, it's going to bunch up like this. Okay, so if you pull too tight, but you want to stretch it out to make sure that it's going to lay nice and flat and look good. So I'm just going to half double crochet here. I'm almost done with row 2. I'm just working over the top of my straggler, because when we finish this row, I'll show you we're going to change color again. So it'll be nice and easy to grab that yarn. Okay, let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I have 2 more here. Okay, so now I have 5 stitches left. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We are going to single crochet in each one of those. 1, 2, and I'm working in the back loops only. 3, 4. Okay, now in this last stitch, we're going to go in, we're going to yarn over with the red, pull through, just like that. We're going to drop the red and we're going to pick up the green. And we're going to yarn over and pull through both loops with the green, just like that. So we finished the last stitch there and pulled up green because for row 3 we're using green. So now for row 3 repeat, we're going to chain 1, turn our work again. Okay, I'm working my turns this way this time. Okay, I'm pulling this red up and I'm going to work over the top of it just like I showed you for the last row. And we're going to single crochet into this very first stitch because this chain up 1 doesn't count as anything. So we're going to go into the first stitch here. Okay, unlike row 2 where we chained up 3 and didn't work in the first stitch, we are working in the first stitch for row 3 repeats. Okay, so go into the back loop only, working around that straggler or that loose end there, yarn over, pull through, and then yarn over and pull through 2. And then single crochet in the next 4 stitches also. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So the first 5 stitches get a single crochet. Okay? Then we're going to half double crochet in each of the stitches until the last 5 stitches, and if you optionally are doing half double crochets in those, then just continue working half double crochets. But I'm doing double crochets in the last 5 stitches. So this is a row 3 repeat here. So we're doing that. Okay, and then after that, let's see here, I'll just show you because I'm almost there. I'm working quite faster here because half double crochets are pretty simple, so just continue watching here. Okay, so let me count here how many stitches. So this chain up 3 counts as a stitch here, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I have to do 1 more half double crochet here. And now these last 5 stitches get a double crochet each. So 1, here's 2, here's 3, here's 4, and this last one now, the very last stitch, make sure you stretch this out first, okay? Then your last stitch, you're going to yarn over, go into that chain up 3 there, around your straggler here, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, drop your color, and pick up your other color, new color here, going on to row 4. We're going to yarn over, pull through both of those loops, and then chain up 3. 1, 2, 3. Then turn your work around, pull that straggler up, and work over the top of that, and just repeat row 2. Okay, so if you need to, rewind this to see what I did for rows 2 and 3. I am going to repeat this until it covers the back of my dog. It should get me to row 23. You want to end on an odd numbered row. Okay, so you can end on row 19, row 21, row 23, etc. So end it whenever you need to, however wide you need to make this. Remember in the beginning when I measured my dog, I was showing you the back, how wide you have to make the backing. So that is obviously creator's choice, and obviously not all dogs are made the same way. So you know, you have to measure your dog's back and then make sure this wide part is, or you have to make as many rows as you need to make yours as wide as it will be to cover the back of your dog. So I'm going to do 23 rows in total. I'm on row 4 right now. And then once I finish row 23, it's just a repeat of rows 2 and 3. Okay, so if you need to, like I said, rewind this to see what I did for rows 2 and 3, and just keep repeating rows 2 and 3 until it is wide enough, and then I'll meet you up and we'll go on to the next step together. All right, welcome back. I just finished row 23 here. You want to end on an odd row or the same color that you started with if you're making yours striped. So I started with green, so I'm ending with green. And when we are cutting our yarn and fastening this part off, we are going to chain one and then cut this yarn. Okay, you can cut it short and then pull that all the way through and pull it tight. And then this one here, I had it straggling along underneath there. I'm just going to kind of push this in like this, and then I'm going to cut this, and then I'm going to stretch that out. And that's already sewn in and it looks clean and everything. So now we just have to sew in, weave in all of our loose ends here. So I'm just going to take my yarn needle and yarn it and go underneath these stitches. Just like this, and sew it in. Okay, you can go back and forth, just hide your ends there. Okay, stretch it out and cut any extra. Okay, so I'm going to sew the other one in later, but this is what it should look like. Now you can decide if you want this side to be your back or this side to be your back. You can see here that this side looks more green and this side looks more red. So you can decide which side you want to be on the outside, okay? Then we're going to grab our neck piece, and you can see that the neck piece looks, well, personally to me, it looks like it's kind of on an angle going outward. So you want the outward angle if yours is angled. If it's not, if it's just straight across, then don't worry about this. You can sew it to any side. So we're going to sew this along this edge here. If yours looks like on an angle like this, if your one side is wider than the other side, sew your piece, your backing piece, to the wider side, okay, if that makes sense. So what we're going to do is take some yarn from the ball of yarn here. We're going to use the same color that's on the edging. So if your edge is green, use green yarn to sew. If your edging is red or whatever color you're using. If it's just whatever color this row is, use that color to sew. Okay, and we're going to just grab our yarn needle and we're going to sew this together. Well, first we got to yarn our needle. This always gets me when I'm trying to sew things and I'm trying to yarn my needle on camera. My yarn never goes through this thing. There we go. Alright, so what we have to do is line this up. Okay, and we want to make sure, if you need to, you can mark your stitches. You know, you can take a different colored piece of yarn and mark 9 or 10 stitches. It really does not matter, however many, but you want to measure, or you can measure your dog, and where the shoulders start, you can measure. And like I showed you in the beginning of this video where Bebe's shoulders are, that's where we're going to mark our stitches. So you want to measure. Mine are going to be about 9 stitches here, so I'm just going to put, you can see here also there's my seam, so I'm actually going to start right here. And I'm going to mark this stitch. Okay, so that's 1 stitch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So I'm going to mark that stitch there. Okay. Now if you want your seam to be right under the chin, you want this seam to be centered. My seam is going to be on the side because I'm going to put a bow on the side, and that's where it's going to cover her. Okay, so then we are going to mark we marked these here. So I have 9 stitches marked, okay, and that is where I'm going to make my front be. Okay, so now I'm going to sew this onto my piece. And we're just going to eyeball it basically, so we're going to go into this piece, in the marked stitch or in the stitch next to it. Really does not matter at this point. Then we're going to go into the 2 pieces, okay, and we're just going to whip stitch this. So just sew it together. So next stitch, and I'm going to sew it just in every other row. Okay, so every other row is going to get a stitch, and then the very next stitch is going to get a stitch. So in the next stitch here, and then the next, or skip a row here and go into the next row there. Okay, That way this will be even, and I mean, you can sew it however you want it to be sewn. You can go into every row, you can go into every other row. Just basically whip stitch this onto the backing here. Also, like I said, make sure you know which side you want on the outside. Okay, so mine is more red on the outside here, but if you wanted this other side, the more green side, to be more pronounced on the outside, then make sure that's showing on the outside. Okay, that's also a thing. So just you know, be good about this. You know, obviously you want to make it look good, so you don't want it to bunch up or unravel or anything like that. So just sew it on nicely like this, and you'll come back all the way around here. Okay, and this should end up, yep, right where our other marked stitch is. So I'm just going to keep whip stitching this around, and then I'll meet you up for the next step. Alright, when you come to the very end here and you want to fasten this part off, what we need to do is actually go underneath a few of the stitches, okay, just like that. I'm going to remove the stitch marker here. And then I'm going to keep my finger in this loop here and pull this tight, and then I'm going to come back around and go into there and then pull it tight to make a knot, okay? And we can do that, you know, twice or 3 times, just going into a few stitches, pulling up that loop, keeping it on the finger, then coming back around through that loop, and then pulling tight. Okay, just like that. And then we can weave in this end here, so I'm just going to go underneath some of these stitches. Okay, and then just go back and forth a couple of times. Okay, and then cut that short, stretch it out. Okay, and then we have to do the other side because that's still attached to the ball of yarn, so we are going to cut that. I'm going to remove the stitch marker. I'm going to grab my yarn needle and yarn my needle with that straggler, and then I'm going to go into some stitches, keep my finger in that loop, come back around through that loop, and pull tight. Okay, and again, underneath some stitches, going into that loop, and pulling tight. And then we can weave this end in also. So then that backing is finished. And now at this point, you could just have this be like a nice cute little cape for your pet. It's like this is gonna fit on the around the neck, and then this is like gonna look like a cape. Be like a superhero dog. How cute. But now I'm gonna add a little bit of a piece right here to go underneath the dog's stomach. So what we're going to do is actually attach it right away. So look at your piece like this, and we're going to attach from here. I'm gonna grab my yarn or my hook here, and you can see that this is sewn into this stitch right here. Okay, so we're going to go into that stitch. You can go over one even if you wanted to and just work over the top of this, but I'm going to go into the stitch that this piece is sewn into, okay, right here. And then I'm going to grab, what color should I use? I guess I'll use red. Okay, and then we're going to hook that on the hook and pull that through, just like that. And now we are going to chain 1 and half double crochet into the same stitch. So yarn over, go down into that same stitch, yarn over, pull through, and then yarn over and pull through 2 loops. Okay, and then we're going to half double crochet into each of the stitches until we get to the other side. So I'll count here. This is number 2, this is 3, here's 4, there's 5. And you could do single crochets or double crochets in this part as well. It really doesn't matter, just however length you want it to be. It's totally up to you. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Here's 8. Here's 9. And 10. So I have 10 across. You might just have 9, and that is okay. Alright, so make sure you have 9. I'm going to cut this though. That looks weird. Okay, and with my seam there, but that'll be covered with a bow. So anyway, Going on to the next row, so you want to end with at this point where this side is sewn in to the neck part, okay? Because if you have it over even one, there's going to be a wide gap and that's just going to look weird. So you don't want this piece to look weird. So we're going to go on to row 2 now of the front of the sweater. Here we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. So now we're looking at the inside of our sweater. And we are going to half double crochet into each stitch. And now I'm working in both loops, just like this. You can work in the back loops only and make it ribbed, but I'm just going to work in both loops because this is going to be underneath the dog and you won't really see this much of this. You'll see this part when you're looking at your dog from the front, but that's about it. So we're just half double crocheting across, so I'm going to have 10 stitches in total. This will be different for you if you are making yours bigger. So then chain 1, turn your work around, okay, just like that. And now we are going to increase. So we are going to, for row 3, we are going to put 2 half double crochets in the first stitch, 1 and 2, then half double crochet in each stitch until the very last stitch. So just half double crochet in all of these stitches until there's 1 stitch left, and on that last stitch we're going to put 2 half double crochets in that stitch right here. So 2 in there, 1 and 2. So now I have 12 stitches in total. Going on to row 4, I'm going to chain 1 and turn my work around, and I'm going to half double crochet across. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Okay, then we're going on to the next row. Let's see here, what row is this? 1, 2, 3, 4. So row 5 here, we're going to chain 1, turn our work. Okay, row 5 says to increase. So put 2 half double crochets in the first stitch, and then 1 half double crochet in each stitch until the very last stitch on this row, and we're going to put 2 half double crochets in there. Okay, so I'm almost there. We're working half double crochets, but like I said earlier, you could do single or doubles. Okay, so this last stitch here gets 2 half double crochets. Then we're going to chain 1 and turn our work around. Okay, so now we're on, let's see here, 2, 4, 5. So row 6, we are just going to half double crochet across. So just put 1 stitch in each stitch across, so no increase on this row. This is row 6. Okay. Then row 7 is an increase row. And that's going to be my last increase row for mine, but if you need to increase more, so chain 1, turn your work. Increase rows are just 2 half double crochets in the first stitch, and then 1 half double crochet until the last stitch, and then put 2 half double crochets in the last stitch. So if you need to increase more than this, you can continue working 1 row of just half double crochets across, and then 1 increase row, and then a row of half double crochets across until your piece is wide enough. And then once it is wide enough, we can go on to the next part, which is just working, let's see here, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, about 6 or 7 rows. Oops, I had to put 2 in there. Sorry guys, well, I'm counting here and trying to explain. So 2 in the last there. So now row 8 through 14. Okay, so rows 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. So 7 rows for me. This may be more or less for you. Be sure to measure your dog and make sure that this part does not cover too far, especially if you're letting your dog out outside, you know, and wearing its sweater. Then you might have to remove the sweater before he goes outside because you don't want this to cover, you know, that area. So I'm just going to make 7 rows for my dog, but like I said, you can end early if yours needs to be a little shorter. But however you need to do now, we're just doing no increases anymore. We're just working a half double crochet into each stitch across, then chain one, turn your work, and half double crochet across, okay, for however long you need to make it now. So like I said, I'm going to end on row 14, okay. I'm on row 9 right now, so I'm going to do a few more rows of this, and then once I'm going to fasten off, once I'm ready to fasten off, we'll go on to the next part. Alright, when you make your last row of this belly part here, we're going to chain one, cut our yarn, and pull that through and pull it tight. We are going to fasten that part off there. So now this is what it should look like so far. So what we're going to do now is sew on some buttons, and this part on each side is going to come down onto here to attach to the buttons. So what you need to grab is some buttons. You can use any buttons you want. I have these cute little red ones, and I was going to use smaller ones up here like this, and then a little bit bigger ones down here. Okay, just make sure that your buttons though fit through your stitches, so make sure to kind of shove them through, stretch them around the stitches, make sure they fit through your stitches before you attach them, because if you use too big of a button, then it won't attach and then it'll look terrible. So just don't make it look terrible. So now I'm going to just sew these on using the same color yarn that I used for the bottom of my piece, so this reddish color. And then I'm just going to show you how to sew on one button, and then I'll do the rest off camera. But we're just going to go from the bottom, underneath this piece, into one of the holes, then through the hole, out the other hole, depending if you have 2 or 4 on your buttons, going back down into the piece. And then I'm going to go on the other side of it, cut this yarn, and then tie it in a knot. And then we're going to just sew in our ends. And it's that easy. You just sew on these 4 buttons. You can sew on more buttons if you're making a bigger sweater. You can sew like 3 or 4 down the sides. But then I'm just going to take my yarn needle here and yarn my needle. With both of those strands there. And then just weave them in underneath these stitches, back and forth. Okay, and then we just need to weave in all of our loose ends and sew on the rest of our buttons. So I recommend sewing one on each bottom part here. Okay, we can cut this little straggler. Okay, so one on each last row, or your 14th row, so one here and one here, and then one very at the very top here, after I think it's row, let's see here, 2, 4, row 6, because row 6 or row 7 is our last increase row. So you want to put a button right at the last increase row, but you don't want it to be too close to the arms, and make these if you are able to, make these buttons smaller than the rest of the buttons, or use all really small buttons, just because you don't want the arms or the legs of your dog or cat to be hitting these buttons and be uncomfortable, and you don't want them to be under their elbows or anything. So just make sure the buttons you use are not going to, and the position of where you're putting them, are not going to cause detriment to your animal. So I'm just going to sew on the rest of these buttons in a good spot. If you needed to, also you could try the sweater on your animal, and then you can mark the spot where it would be most comfortable to have these buttons. You could also eliminate buttons completely and sew up the sides of your piece onto this little dress on this side. So you can just sew this piece to this piece, and you don't even have to have buttons at all. So it's totally, that's creator's choice. That's totally up to you. But I am sewing on buttons, and I'm trying to yarn my needle, so I'm gonna figure this out, and then I'm going to sew the rest of these buttons on my sweater, and then we'll go on to the next step together. Alright, so I just sewed on the buttons, and we have all the pieces sewn in, all the loose ends all weaved in. So now, or woven in, I guess is the word. So now we can button this. So you want to button it on the second row in on each side, and you can kind of eyeball it or try it on your pet and button it so that these are like nice little armholes, okay? And then button it down here as well, just like that, okay? And then on this side as well. And you want to, if you count, make sure it's even. Let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. About 9th stitch down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So about right in here. And we have buttoned this. Now you can decide if you want to put your dog in the piece and then button it around your dog or cat or animal, or you can put it all buttoned up together and then just slide your animal into here like this, okay, and then their feet will go in there like that. So now what we want to do though, I want to make a bow embellishment, and then we're going to also make an embellishment around the bottom here. But if you wanted to, you could be done at this point, and this is a nice little sweater for your animal. Now you can see here that this side is more red looking, more vibrant in red, but if you switch this inside out, you can see that it's like reversible. That's if you don't have any embellishments. Okay, but obviously the buttons then are on the other side, okay, so they're on the inside of here. So, but if you have no embellishments, you can have then a nice green sweater. This side is more green, or the other side, which is the side I'm going to use, this side is more red. So you can make it opposite. If you have little brother and sister like I do for my pets, I'm going to do opposite colors. On my other dog, this chest part is green, so I made red for Bebe, but you can use any colors you want and make it nice and versatile. So just have then this piece is, you can be all done, but I'm going to make a bow next. You can make a bow tie if you have a male dog, or a bow for the side here, make it a little feminine if you have a girl dog. So I'm going to set this aside and I'm going to make my bow in green here. And what we're going to do is make a slip knot. I showed you that in the beginning of this video. We're just going to put the short end over the long end, then fold this down and pull that through and pull it tight. Insert the hook and we can make this bow. So to make a big, like a 3D bow, I'm going to chain 20. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, actually just 15. You can chain 20 if you want, but I want my bow to be very tiny. So that's how big it's going to be. So what we're going to do is go back around. If you saw my napkin ring video for the bow napkin ring a few days ago, you can see that we are working the same concept. So I'm going to single crochet into this first chain. So go in, yarn over, pull through, and then yarn over and pull through 2 loops. So now we have a ring here. And we're going to single crochet into each chain around. You can work into this side loop here like me. You can work in the back ridge loop if you want to have a cleaner edge, totally up to you. But I'm just going to single crochet around here. And then I'm just going to continue working a single crochet in each stitch around for rounds 2 through 5. We're going to have 5 rounds, okay? If you have questions about making a bow, on how to do that, I suggest you see my napkin ring video tutorial, or see the Bows and Bells napkin ring that I made the other day. But otherwise, I'm just going to finish making this bow. So now you see I came back around, so now I'm just going to work in the back loops only, and we're working 5 rounds total. Okay, so I'm going to do that, and then I'll meet you up when I'm about to fasten off, and we'll make this bow, and then we'll attach it to our sweater. Alright, when you make 4 or 5 rounds of this little piece here, we're going to make this into a bow. It just looks like a tube right now, but we're going to fasten off first. So go under both loops of the next stitch, yarn over, pull through, and then yarn over and pull through. Just kidding, don't yarn over and pull through anything. We're just going to make a slip stitch. Silly me. So now we're going to fasten off. So I like to chain 1. We're going to cut our yarn really long, okay, and continue to pull that all the way through. The reason we make it really long is because we're going to use it for wrapping, okay, so you can see your piece like this. I'm going to stretch it a little bit. We're going to make this into a bow. So I'm going to take this small straggler, shove it inside of this piece, okay, make sure that this first part and the last part are centered in the back, and then we're going to kind of make it like this, kind of bend it, pinch it in the middle, and then take this yarn and wrap it around the center, just like that. Okay, so now you can see it's starting to make the bow shape. Okay, and then we're going to continue to wrap and wrap and wrap and wrap and keep wrapping until we are satisfied, and make sure that it is tight. Okay, so use some strength there. There we go. Okay, and there's a cute bow. So now, I think I wrapped mine about 10, maybe 15 times. That's a cute little bow there. Adorable. So now I'm going to take my yarn needle and yarn my needle with that strand, that long strand. There. Okay, you know what? I'm using a different needle. Okay, and then we're going to go underneath what we just wrapped. We're going to go inside of there and then wrap it around the back. Okay, and come back around to secure that around, just like that. So there's a nice little bow. How lovely. So now we want to put it on our little dog sweater. I wanted to put it on the side here to kind of hide the seam, but I think my seam is too much in the middle here. So make sure that when you are making this, make your seam, hide it on the side, but I think what I'm going to do is put it right here on the side of the girl dog one. If you have a boy dog or a boy cat, you could put it right in the center here, have a little bow tie, very gentleman and classy like, but I'm going to put mine on the side because I have a girl dog here. So I'm going to go underneath these stitches and just sew it on to the neck. Okay, so we're just going around and around, just like that. Okay, and basically just tacking it down. And if you want to tack down this, you can stick your finger in here so you don't go through both layers, but just go on through one of the layers of the bow. Okay, and then just go back in to the neck part. Okay, so that tacks that part down so then it won't come flying off or make it look weird. And then you can do the same thing on this side. Okay, and then when you want to fasten this part off, just go into the neck part. Okay, I'm going to cut this shorter here so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, and we're going to tie this off. So we're going to go underneath some of these stitches. Okay, keep our finger in that loop, and then put it back around in there, and then tie it tight. Again, go underneath some stitches, put our finger in that loop, come back around, and tie it tight. And then we can sew in this end underneath this piece. Just anywhere around, just hide that, and then cut it, and there's your cute bow. Now that's creator's choice. That's a little embellishment if you wanted to add a little embellishment. Okay, so now I'm going to do the bottom part here. We are going to, let's see here, put a green trim around the edge here. So I'm going to start right here. I'm just going to go right into it. Grab the H hook. Start in this corner here, hook on the green yarn, and we're going to single crochet along the bottom of this dress here, this sweater. So I'm going to hook that on, chain up one, and we're going to put 3 single crochets into each gap here. 1, 2, and 3 around each stitch. So 3 stitches here. 1, 2, 3. Hop to the next. 1, 2, and 3. Hop to the next here. Okay, I'm just crocheting over my straggler here, my loose end, so that I don't have to sew it in later. And we're just putting 3 single crochets in each, or around each post of the last stitch on each row at the bottom of this dress. I call it a dress. It's kind of flaring out, looks kind of dress-like. Looks cute. So I'm just going to single crochet across here, and then I'll meet you up and we'll go on to the next step. When you're finished single crocheting across here, I am going to slip stitch down into there as well, and we're going to fasten this part off. If you're not changing color, just chain up 6 and turn your work, and we're going to go on to the next step anyway. But I'm going to change color, so I slip stitch down in there. I already cut my yarn, so I'm going to chain 1 and continue to pull that cut yarn through, and then I'm going to sew in that end in a minute. But what we're going to do now is turn our work, so we're looking at the inside of the sweater. Okay, and we're going to attach our yarn to the first stitch right here. So right before we fastened off, there's a stitch right there. And then we are going to hook on our new yarn. Okay, if you chained up 6 and using the other color, that's totally cool. We're going to go on to making these little puff balls now. So we're chain up 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then in the third chain from the hook, 1, 2, 3, we are going to make a cluster stitch. So yarn over, go into that chain, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Yarn over, go back in, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. And again, yarn over, go back in, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. So now we have 4 loops on the hook, yarn over and pull through all 4 of those loops, and then chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Now in the third chain from the hook, that's this one right here, we are going to make another cluster stitch. So go into that chain, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, go in, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, go in, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. So now we have 4 loops on the hook, yarn over and pull through all 4 of those loops. And now we're going to slip stitch into the chain that the first cluster stitch was worked into. So go into that chain, yarn over, pull through, and pull through. Now we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. We're going to skip 5 stitches here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and go into the next stitch right here and make a slip stitch. So yarn over, pull through, and pull through. Okay, and there's one of our little puff balls. Okay, awesome. So now we're just going to repeat that. So chain 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Cluster stitch in the third chain from the hook. So one, it's like partial of a double crochet 3 times. Then there's 4 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through all 4, then chain 3, and then make a cluster stitch in the third chain. So yarn over, go in, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, 3 times. Then we have 4 loops on the hook, yarn over and pull through all 4 of those loops, then slip stitch back into the chain that the first cluster was worked into, slip stitch in there, then chain 3, and then skip 5 stitches down here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and go into the next stitch and slip stitch into there. Okay, so just continue working these puffs all along this bottom edge. This is optional, but I'm going to continue working that, and then I will meet you up at the end of this row. Alright, when you finish up, make sure to chain 1 and cut your yarn, pull that through and pull it tight. You can grab your yarn needle right away. Actually, I'm going to use this bigger one. It's easier to work on camera with it. And we're just going to weave in all of our ends. I suggest you weave in your ends as you go, just so that you don't have to do a whole lot when you're finishing up, because this thing is so adorable, and I'm sure your dog is just gonna want to, be fashionable and try it on right away. So just weave in all those ends, just like that. Stretch anything out, anything weird. And if you look on the back side, or the front side of your work, the outside of your work, you can see that these puffballs look much better and more pleasing to the eye than on the inside, where they're like kind of slit open, okay, and it looks kind of weird. But on this side, they look like little puffballs, and they're so adorable. So I just have a few extra ends to sew in, and then I'm going to put this on my dog, and it's going to be adorable. So thank you so much for watching and learning how to make this adorable pet sweater. You can make this for your dog, your cat, or your friend's dog, your friend's cat. I think you could get really creative with this and make this in different designs and different styles, just with the striping design and with the you know, color combination, or even the pieces. You don't have to add a bow. You can put the bow somewhere else. You don't have to add the frilly edge. You can, you know, keep it plain and just have a single crochet edge. I feel like this puffball edge is more feminine, so that's why I'm going to put it on my girl dog, Bebe. But I have her on standby. I'm going to put this on her, and I'll meet you right back up. Alright, there it is. She's so cute and adorable. It fits her so well. And it was a little bit of a trick to get her on there, but look at how cute that bow is, and the buttons fit really nicely. So this fit my dog. I hope it fits your animal. It's so adorable. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for watching and learning how to make this sweater. I hope you enjoyed it as much as Bebe does. Have a great rest of your day, everyone. Share your photos of your pets, and if you've crocheted anything for your pets, make sure to share a photo on Facebook and on Instagram and hashtag YARNutopia. I hope you enjoyed this. Have a great rest of your day. Happy hooking!